Hey there, everybody, welcome back. Let's dive in, we're gonna do 11.2 and 11.3 today. After this, we've only got 3 more sections for the entire fucking semester. So 11.2 is on. It's called the paired means test. And 11.3 is on a 2-sample means test. That's independent, not paired. So paired samples, this first test, 11.2. Is when there is a direct and strong connection between the two groups. For example, if you do something with like before and after. Like you're checking for change in behavior or something like that, change in results. That's an example. We could do siblings. Oftentimes, if we do siblings, it's usually a brother and a sister, and they're comparing genders, gender outcomes. Could be a married couple. Oftentimes husband and wife. That way, again, they can do a gender comparison. But it could be other shit. Like, how do different hotel chains compare? And so what they'll do is they'll pair them up by cities. Is this siblings or married couple? It could also be like father-son comparison, mother-daughter comparison. There's a lot of ways that you have a comparison, but to do a comparison, they've got to be paired up, which means if every person in the first group is paired with someone in group 2, with the before and after, it's the same person. It's like, well, how were you before and then how were you after? Then the sample sizes have to be the same. Must. N1 has to equal N2. If N1 does not equal N2. It's not paired at all. If N1 equals N2. It might be paired, it's not a guarantee. You have to look for some form of dependency between the groups. Val comes in for the tutoring on Saturday. Comes over, she asks me a question, all I do is write down what she calculates. She gets it all on her own and she says, thank you, I couldn't have done this without you. I'm like, I was basically your fucking secretary on this problem, I didn't do anything. But she's like, you were there, it gave me the confidence I needed, I was like,
I need a cheerleader.
you gotta believe in yourself, girl. And no one gonna cheer for you all the time.
Oh, just in
It's
the back,
impossible, not even your spouse will cheer for you all the time. Your children, yeah,
Traders.
parents usually do, a good parent usually will, at least to your face.
Okay.
They'll tell you they believe in you. Alright, so. Other requirements here. So requirements for the peer test. So obviously N1 has to equal N2, that's a must. Sometimes it's called matched pairs. We require simple random samples. Sample size should be greater than 30. Or greater than or equal to. We did this before with the one means test. So it's either this requirement is met. Or B. It's normally distributed with no outliers. And we checked this kind of stuff, like checked it on the QQ plot. And box plots. Another thing that is required since we're pairing it up. You need individual data. No summary scores. For each member. So how do we do this? In StackCrunch. Have the data entered in by columns. One column for each group. Where each pair is one row. It should be side by side. And then we're gonna do stats. Stats. Paired. H naught is a little different here. H naught and HA. When we did that, when we did it with proportions. We had like P1 equal P2, and then in StackCrunch, we did P1 minus P2 equals 0 for HA. This one's a little different. What it does in this one is it subtracts each row from like each pair. Which gives us the difference in the pair. And then it takes the mean of the differences. So StackCrunch will say mu d. Which is like mu of difference. This top one equals 0. And HA is the one where it's either not equal to, greater than, or less than 0. Chance to write down, then we'll get up the problem.
If there's no Saturday because of spring break this Saturday,
I'm gonna be there,
oh, just not the next,
I'll be there next time too,
even during spring break?
yep,
Oh, okay.
I'm a fucking champion, students. I work for you guys, I do my best to be available. Other teachers aren't available on Saturday, that's all I'm saying. Now, a lot of students don't wanna come do it on Saturday. But if you do,
What time?
I'm there. Alright, you guys ready? Nope. Still writing stuff down. Alright. So our first question is gonna be. Before I do the next question, I'm gonna write something that you'll find useful. When you're doing questions like this. If homework problems. Give you. The group. As rows. And pairs as columns, this is not helpful. StatCrunch doesn't work that way, but once you put it in there. Copy paste it to StatCrunch. And then you're gonna wanna do data. Arrange. Transpose. And then select all the columns, you'll see. We're gonna have an example that does this. Our first example is gonna be on comparing. Hampton Inn and La Quinta Inn. Pricing. And it's done by a sample of 10 different cities where there's. Members in each one. And the second example we're gonna do. I won't switch back to this, well, no, I'm gonna need to switch back to this to do write out the hypothesis test. So ignore that for now. Very, very concentrated urine. No, it's tea.
Fine.
Just regular black tea, it's sweetener in it. That would be some fucking very bad urine.
After kids.
There are people that drink their own urine, well. Those are the ones that you're like, there's a couple screws loose there.
Oh,
I don't think you're playing with a full fucking deck of cards right now. It's disgusting. I don't know how, I don't know what you gotta, how much you gotta believe something to be true to be where you're like. you know what, drinking my urine sounds like that's a healthy choice. Now, if you're fucking dehydrated as fuck and it's your only source of liquid, it's better than dying. Questionable, some people may be like, meh, is it though? It just delays the inevitable unless you're hoping you get rescued, like if you're stuck in the desert or fucking outer space or some shit where you don't have more fluid. Like you eventually you slowly sweat fluid out, so eventually your urine is gonna go down. This is fucking deviated way off Hampton with you, man. All because you asked me what I'm drinking. Alright. Let me put this up. Share screen. So this has the Hampton Inn values and the La Quinta Inn values by the town. If you want to write it down, you can. I wouldn't bother writing down the cities because they're not important. But they are, it does show how they're paired. And it does show you that Seattle's a fucking expensive place to live. I don't know how old these have got to be for that to be the right price in San Diego. I'm calling bullshit on this. This has got to be fucking like 20 years old or some shit. There's no way those are the prices. Fun fact, if you ever want to go to Walt Disney World or like the theme parks in Orlando, Florida. Going in January, the beginning of January, like basically right after fucking Christmas. The flights are dirt fucking cheap, the hotels are fucking empty, so they're generally marked down. Like everything was super fucking cheap, beginning of January.
That's perfect, that's actually great. Then my family's trying to go next year at January.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
beginning of January,
Wow, great to say that.
that's when if you go late enough, you. So I think we went. Like, we went out there, we went like right before Christmas. And like I saw the hotel prices drop, because we were out there 2 weeks, and like the hotel prices plummeted after fucking Christmas time. And. Another fun fact, if you are going out there and you're trying to like see Christmas shit. I don't know what they fucking did, but like all the Christmas shit was gone on the fucking day after Christmas. I don't know how you take down that many fucking decorations. In one day,
Didn't imagine. Yeah,
without having a fucking,
it's
there's not elves in there, so you're paying people to be there, what, fucking Christmas night? To fucking change the shit, it was gone, like. But that was okay. Alright, so, since. N is not bigger than 30. What they did is this is effectively a QQ plot of the differences. This is a box plot. It shows this is like, this meets it, it follows like a linear thing, so we can do the normal distribution. This says there's no outliers, so even though there's only 10 in each category, we're good to go. So what I'm gonna do is. I'm going to. Control copy like that. And we're gonna come over to StatCrunch. And you Control B to paste. Oh, I did it right, yeah, this is not where we gotta do the next one is the arrange transpose thing. This one's already good to go. So I want to, this is Hampton Inn and La Quinta, I'm gonna. Call them half and La Quinta. And let's go back over and like read what the actual description is. The following data represents the cost of a one-night stay in Hampton Inn hotels and La Quinta Inn hotels. for a random sample of 10 cities. Test the claim that Hampton Inn hotels are priced differently than La Quinta Inn hotels. So we want differently. We're gonna come in here, we're gonna go stats. T-stats paired. If I say Hampton is in column 1 and La Quinta is in column 2. This one, we can edit this if we want to show the difference is more than 0, just not one zero the other. What symbol do I need to use for this to show that they are priced differently? The one we already have, it didn't say Hampton was greater or less than. We're gonna say priced differently. Now, I'm looking at this and I think we could make an argument. That we could just go with Hampton is bigger than La Quinta. And we'll check it in a second, because notice like these are all triple digits and like most of these aren't. So I'm thinking Hampton Inn costs more than La Quinta, but they just went with price differently. So this is the T-stat and the p-value we would use, and we're gonna use in a second. If we wanted to say Hampton was greater than. Which might be a more fun example, we're gonna say Hampton costs more than La Quinta. And that's even more of a, yeah, it is. So let's go with this one up here. I'm gonna write down my T-stat. Is 5.27, my p-value is 0.0005. And I'm gonna make a note that I did these steps out of order, that's step 3. Notice it's telling me the way it's calculating the difference. Hampton minus La Quinta. And it looks like the average difference is $50. Hampton Inn is like on average $50 higher than La Quinta. I'll go back to. Yes, you can see the same shit I had written down here. So what we did is we put Hampton as group 1. La Q as group 2. When you have more than one group, you want to label the groups. If you don't label the groups on the final exam, you will be penalized. It's not fucking hard, it doesn't matter how you choose them, you just gotta label them. And your hypothesis test should follow the same label. So step 1 was really the one we should have done first, but as long as we have them all here, it's good to go. H naught and HA. H naught is mu D equals 0. HA is mu D, we went with not equals 0 because it said different. Step 2, they gave us an alpha. Alpha was 0.05. Step 4 is decision time. How do I make the decision? We want to compare the p-value to the level of alpha. Which one of these is larger? Alpha is bigger than p-value, so p-value is less than alpha. P-val's too low. What do we do when p-val's too low? Reject what? Reject the hoe, and we support HA. And HA is they were priced differently. So step 5 is our conclusion. We decided we're gonna support HA. The only reason we would support it is if there's enough evidence to support it. There is enough evidence. To support the claim. That. Hampton Inn. And La Quinta Inn are priced differently. At alpha equals 0.05 level of significance. So, anyone still need that up on there? Shit, Kelly's done, that's the sign. Just like fucking quit trying to fucking shame me. Alright, next problem is gonna be a roller coaster before and after. And there's a new process. And the manager wants to see. If the new process. In loading procedures. I think it's loading procedures. Loading and unloading, getting off and on the roller coaster. Shortens the time in line. Or effectively allows them to put more people on a roller coaster faster. Like, does it reduce wait time? And I'll put the data up on the screen in a second, but I'd rather walk through. First couple steps before we shift over. So there's data on before and data on after. And they like try to do like the same day, same day of the week, same times of day. To like get a good pair up. Like presumably within 1 week of each other, so like. The values, if the seasons are the same, it's not like winter versus summer. We need to label the groups. Do we wanna label, how do we wanna label before and how do we wanna label after? Which one do we wanna call group one and which one do we wanna call group two? Okay, 4 is 1, after is 2. So. What does reduced wait time mean in terms of an inequality here, right here? It's what it's listing is the amount of time waited in line. So if the process reduces the wait time. Should before be bigger than after or less than after? Should be bigger. It should take longer before, and then if it's afterwards, there's less time, like if you did 25 minutes and it's down to 24 minutes, that's a decrease. And that would be, so before is bigger than after. So when we subtract it over, since we said that's 1 and 2. Our mu of D is gonna be 1 minus 2. So we're gonna go with greater than 0 for HA. So H naught will be mu D equals 0. HA will be. Mu D is greater than 0. And again, that's step 1. I'll tell you right now, step 2 is, it gives us our good old alpha at 0.05. Plans for this Thursday, I know some of you are going to start spring break early. We're not doing a new section on Thursday, but I am gonna review confidence intervals, hypothesis tests, how they connect. And then give you time to work with your group on your project. If you want, make up your questionnaire, have it all written up. Even if you bring your laptop, type it up so you can get them printed out. And if you have questions like how can I make my questionnaire better, if you're asking people questions. I'm here to answer and help out. Like Val and Krista were here last time and they didn't ask, but. I gave them feedback on how to like make their questionnaire better. Cause the more you ask now. The more options you have later on, and like you might find that you might wanna make your test different. When you see something in the data that you're like, I didn't suspect that. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Alright, so I'm gonna come over to StatCrunch or the assignment real quick. And if you wanna write down the values, I'll let you write them down. Top row is before, second row is after. First anniversary is fucking Thursday. Which is longer than a good portion of my older than my soon to be alive. That's fucking crazy, Val. It makes me fucking feel old. But you know what? It fucking beats the alternative.
Oh, why? She's not upset you have to work on that day?
She doesn't really have a choice. I've got a job and
Facts.
she knows I have the next week off, which makes her happy.
That's true.
Like I'm turning 50 Sunday. Which fucking sucks, but like in my head, like I'm like, this sucks, but. What am I bitching about? It's way better than the fucking alternative. If within by like dying before I turn 50. I don't want that, so fucking please, let me get to be fucking 99-year-old diaper wearing motherfucker. Having someone wipe my ass daily. Cause I'm fucking too old, can't fucking move to do it. But let me fucking be like,
Get a haircut.
let me be a burden on somebody else.
Should get a haircut for your birthday. Look at that taper. 50 years old, fucking, new stuff.
They should taper, low taper,
Yeah,
that's what I said. Can I leave early today?
What?
Can I leave early today?
You can leave anytime you want.
Ask me. Yeah, I
No
know.
one's making you be here, but you might want to get like a copy of the project and like maybe talk to. People you're gonna wanna work with, like,
I'm in their group.
have you talked to them already about what they're doing?
No, we don't have no idea.
You gotta have something by Thursday.
We will. I can be here then.
Have something. If you're not here, you're not here.
Yeah.
Alright. Copy paste. So this is where the data is in the wrong format. I'm gonna do data arrange transpose. I'm gonna select all the columns. And click compute.
We just put some on the side.
Why did it call it 11.6 and 10.7?
Was that one of the numbers? Is that the beginning numbers?
It doesn't look like, did I miss?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's off screen. So when it does shit like that, what we gotta do, notice 11.6 and 10.7 are in there. So if that happens, go ahead and put them in the bottom row, cause it doesn't matter what order the rows in, as long as the rows are paired up. So this was the before, I think. And this was after. Another way I think to do it is if you copied the name in there and then did that, it would put the names in the top row. But I never remember when I'm doing this, so you're not going to either. Cause you did it like when you're copying the columns, you don't want to have the names in there. And so like you won't remember to not put the names in there. Okay, so now we got a before and after. I don't know, I looking at them, like they look kind of similar. In fact, some cases after is longer, so I don't know that this is gonna show them and it's less than. I like to look at it and go like, make it like, see if I can figure out what's gonna be the result ahead of time. That way, if it's fucking wrong, I can go, did I miss something? So we're doing before versus after. And we said before was greater than after. I'm gonna save differences in another column here. Because there's only a few samples here and I wanna do a QQ plot on them and a box plot, see if like we meet the criteria. And rather than subtracting them by hand, if I do this now. Save differences. It's gonna give me the test, but it's gonna give me a column on the differences. And now since n was only, let's see. N goes up to 9, there's only 9 fucking things. We need to do a QQ plot. On differences. And those look roughly in a straight line. We could check the correlation value against the critical value. But that looks pretty good to me. We'll do a box plot on the differences. Oh, there's an outlier. So we probably shouldn't be doing the pair test, but fuck it, we're gonna do it anyways. Just to walk through the like practicing the hypothesis. In reality, this is not a good example for a pair test. So I'm gonna make a note of that. I'm gonna write the t-stat and p-value down. The box plot looks weird. I didn't say draw horizontally. There we go. We have a number that's really like a high outlier here. So I'm gonna write down the t-stat, the p-value, and I'm gonna make a note on the page. That this is not a good test for this. So I had step 3. T stat is, we'll just go with 1.2. 1.22. And p value. Is 0.1286.
Leaving.
You don't gotta make an excuse, you can't smell it back there, you're gonna go, you're gonna go, no one's required to be here, it's not boot camp.
I have to go to a birthday dinner.
What?
I have to go to a birthday dinner.
Have fun.
But
Alright, so step 4, what do I do for step 4? We're gonna compare it to alpha, right? Is p value less than or greater than alpha? Someone answer, I didn't hear it. Great. So p val is not too low. What does that mean we're gonna do about our decision? Do not reject H naught. Do not support HA. And this is what our statement is about, our conclusion. And the question was, does the new process reduce wait time? And that was the claim, that it would reduce wait time, so there's not really evidence to support that. There is not enough evidence. To support the claim. That the new. Boarding process, that's better than saying loading and unloading. The new boarding process. Reduces wait times. At alpha equals 0.05 level of significance. And I'm gonna pause recording here so that people can take a break if you gotta use the bathroom. Clubs. God's out of control when it fucking 5 o'clock somewhere, 5 o'clock here. No, there's no alcohol in that. Alright. So 11.3 is on. As I said before. I like that, 5 o'clock, so 5 o'clock, yeah. Is a 2-sample means test. And these are gonna be independent. It must be independent. So we have the same requirements. We want simple random samples. We want populations to be normally distributed. That's the whole QQ plot, box plot thing we did. Or N1 is greater than or equal to 30, N2 is greater than or equal to 30. And we want N1 to be less than 5% of its population. And N2 to be less than 5% of its population. What? What's backwards?
But the sample is the little end,
It is.
so it isn't the same. as-
Did I say less than? Oh, I got the wrong signs.
Yeah.
That's what you meant by backwards, the fucking symbol, you're right. Thank you. I was just looking at the fucking symbol above. Good catch. I'm like, I have my ends in the right order, the little ends on the left, the big ends on the right, what are you fucking talking about? Sure as shit, she's right. And samples must be independent. Don't ask a husband and wife. Don't ask a brother and sister in different groups like that. Cause then there's a connection, you want like random people. So, in general. N1 does not equal N2, but it's not a requirement. N1 can equal N2. Is possible. There's no requirement around it either way. Here will be asking if you can have time on the project a day. And I know they left fucking half hour early on fucking Thursday. Could have worked on. it. Doing shit, everybody left half hour early. I gotta look up an image of this fucking tapered cut look.
Show you right now.
I'm wondering why the fuck you guys are so insistent, I get it.
That's just clean, it look good. Yeah, of course, yeah.
What's the wrong with the way my fucking hair looks now, fuck you guys.
That
It looked better, I didn't say you looked good.
that date, let me just say that. Didn't
Telling me to get my hair cut a different way, even though I got it cut a week ago. You're like, no, you wanna get it cut so it looks good, how am I supposed to take that? Yeah, report this later on, I'm going with fuck you guys. I'm sticking with that one, report me. Alright, in StatCrunch. We're gonna go stats. T-stats. Two samples. We're gonna have H naught is mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. And HA isn't. So it's either not equal to, less than, or greater than 0. And you either need. Either. A, the raw data. Everyone's answer for each group. Or B, you need sample means for each group. So like an x1 bar and x2 bar. You need the sample standard deviation. So S1 and S2. And you need the sample sizes. N1 and N2. StatCrunch is gonna ask for it. When we did one sample mean test, it asked for each of those, but just for one group. So two samples, just upgrading it. It will give you an option called pool variances. This is when they think the standard deviation and variance is gonna be the same for both groups. There is no reason to assume this, so don't click it. So leave it off.
Take a picture.
You mean just where look? All it looks like is like shorter here.
Right,
Yeah, like the right here is shorter than right here.
then you get like this, right, you get like.
Yeah, but then you got like fucking. A little bit of sideburn going on.
Fucking girl hair right there.
That's annoying when you're wearing glasses. Tell you that right now.
Yeah, look, fucking get your glasses.
I get my hair cut deliberately to go above my glass line every fucking time. She puts my glasses on and checks. She didn't do this last time. Because I told her it's fucking annoying. I'll go on looking like shit, thank you guys.
Wow.
With my untapered fucking face and
You can only go to 50, same haircut.
this isn't the same haircut I had all my life. Keep going. I know how to put F down real easy. That'd be fucked up. If I can give a student F for fucking saying, you should try this haircut. That's just really fucked up shit. I would hope you would fucking report my ass. If I did it. I can joke about doing it all I want, that's just me being a sadistic fuck. Alright, so. You guys ready to see what, here, the first example? What the hell is this? Random fucking. Flip it over and use the back. Wait, were you? I see a pen in your hand, I am sorry, Kelly.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. I got hasty. And it looks like you're not the only one writing, so like I was really hasty. I get distracted when I'm talking shit to students. It happens.
You get distracted a lot though. Make sure I say some comments too, because I haven't said anything recently.
It's my birthday week, you could be nice to me. I'm gonna be 50 this week, you could be nice.
I am nice, I'm gonna make you really good cupcakes and cookies that you're paying me for.
And you're paying for it. That's-
Oh, yeah,
that's
she
great.
runs a bakery, or she's doing her own bakery business and. I try to support student ventures, like if you're ever selling fucking tamales, I buy tamales. Generally not the season people do it, but winter season, I, like the winter semester, fall semester. I generally get 2 or 3 students, hey, Mr. Jones, we're selling tamale, you wanna get some? Sure, then, you know, I'll buy fucking at least a dozen. They always freeze fairly fucking well, and like if I buy too many. I can always freeze them and have them later, me and my wife loves them. Tamales for me, they're like, they're alright. You fucking go to town and tamale like it's fucking crazy. Alright. Are you writing this? Are you doodling?
No, I was just doing.
That's fine, I just wanna make sure, I didn't wanna like fucking cut you off. So this actually happened. So if you wanna look this up, I'm gonna show you where the data set is. If you go to StackCrunch and look up data sets. I'm gonna load it up, it's called, this data set is called comparing grades. Jones Pepe. That's the type. So, like when in the first year of teaching. I went to some conference and some guy said, he finds that he believes that he does, like the students pay attention more and stuff like that. Do better when I spend that first week not doing any math. Recall doing that? We didn't do any math? There was, some of you were like, when are we gonna fucking get to it? The rest were all like, thank God I don't have to do math yet. Well, I'm like, I wonder if this is true. I wonder if doing that works. So I implemented an example of this. So I thought, does spending the first week on study skills, growth mindset, time management. You know, all that shit, they call this like the soft skills that successful students, the most successful students have. Rather, just spending the time doing that rather than lecturing. Help students do better. I felt like it did too.
Miss Quar, remember you know Miss Quar?
No,
She was stats teacher from the West Valley campus.
okay,
She was fucking in the first day, homework like
Miss Clark. Like, how do you spell it?
KAUR.
Okay. I don't know her, but really on the first day?
First fucking day.
Alright, so I thought like there's gotta be something to this, so. Like, how can I measure this? I teach statistics, how can I measure this? So what I did is, I had intermediate, I taught, we don't teach this class anymore. I had algebra 2 classes. In fall 2018 and spring 2019. So different students, different semesters. And there's an argument to be made, there might be a bias for spring being better than fall. Because students, the fall students might be new to college and just not have those skills yet, whereas spring students might, but. I've said. Fall 2018 had the old method. Math right away, well, math first week, I should say. And spring 2019. I implemented the study skills stuff. And I thought, well, how am I gonna compare this to see if it works? So what I did is I looked at the overall final grades. I compared overall final grades, not final exam grades, but overall grades at end of semester, that's a better way of saying it. And to do that, I used just like the percentage they got, what percentages they have. What score out of 100? And this data is stored in there. So my data for this is in comparing grades during testing. So, if I want to compare these two groups, fall versus spring. Which one should be larger based on what my claim is? Should fall be bigger than spring or should fall be less than spring? I hear less than and bigger than. Does someone want to present their reasoning? So if I think the grades will be higher, then fall should have. Like if I think it's gonna go up to like 92, which would be an amazing fucking average. Then the pre-fall was probably has lower, I'll go with that. Unless you've got a better argument, you wanna, you're good with hers. That's cool. So. We got labeled these group 1 and group 2. I don't know, do them in the order they appeared. Which means if I subtract 2 over, I got 1 minus 2 is less than 0. I'm gonna say H naught is mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. And HA is mu1 minus mu2 is less than 0. Where those are my groupings that I gotta use. There's a lot of raw data, we're not gonna have you write it all down. If you wanna look at it later on, you can find it in that data set. You don't wanna write down fucking 35 scores for each fucking class, do you? I didn't think so. Guys, ready to go look at it? I don't know why I started jumping the gun, I realized I just finished writing. I feel a lot. Several people are still writing. Noticed, Val, do you always wear your hair like Wednesday from the Addams Family?
No, I didn't wash it today,
Okay.
so don't judge me.
I'm not judging, I was just wondering if you always had the fucking ponytails going down the side like that.
No, it's fucking greasy today, I was like, ew, that's gross.
I wasn't commenting on the fucking shine
The
in the
fact that I
hair.
washed my hair.
I was going with the
Like,
fucking
fantastic.
ponytail split down the middle, just like Wednesday on the Addams Family.
Struggle with that class. No word.
See, Garrett's gonna be like, he's gonna go to this other class, and he's gonna go, yeah, we got the mellow Jones, believe it or not.
Like, remember, this class is so nice to you compared to this one. You're grading these tests, know that we're really nice to you.
Right?
Like.
I'm getting fucking heckled, hated by my students here.
That's because you do it better
Oh,
than
you're
us.
so-
And my 3 to 5 class, they treat me with respect.
You just said try it. Yeah, I took the wrong way. You just said like a better option, you know?
But Krista gives me shit almost daily.
That's an
And you give it to me, you wrote on a paper, this is what's wrong with Kristen, so.
You kept it. Oh yeah, you did. Put it on the wall.
And also I answer questions when no one else does, so. At least I get used to their action.
That's true. Alright, you guys ready? Kelly's done. My barometer is done, oh shit. I got to do, there we go. Alright, so I gotta come load that shit, so StatCrunch. Oh, you probably won't do my data, so let's load it the normal way. Fuck. Rude. It logged me out. I gotta log back in real quick. So I'm gonna go to data sets and I'm gonna say comparing grades. This looks up everybody's. That might be enough. Yeah, there's only one that has it. So these are my spring totals. This is my group 2. Right, we did spring was group 2, yeah, we did spring was group 2. Fall was group 1. Notice like one class had 36 students, the other class had fucking 48. Holy shit, that was in a room down at the end of the hall, it was a fucking busy semester. So we're gonna go stats, T-stats, 2 sample. Here I have data. And we said group 1 was fall. Group 2 was spring. And we went with 1 minus 2 was less than 0. Click compute. And we get a T-stat. Of. Negative 2.01. And a p-value. 0.0237. Note that it says sample difference here is negative 10.7. I'm gonna talk about what that meant in a sec, means in a second. Alright, so we got step 1 here. This is step 3. What's step 2?
That was the slash up.
Step 2 was alpha, did I give you one? So what should we use when you're not given an alpha? 0.05. When you're not given an alpha, use 0.05. So I'll put this right here. Is my p-value less than alpha or greater than alpha? Less than. So p-val's too low. What does that tell me to do?
Yeah.
Reject the hoe, and what else? Support HA. HA was what I was testing on, soft skills for a week led to improved performance. There is sufficient evidence. To support Hefe's claim. That spending a week on soft skills rather than math. Improves student performance. At alpha equals 0.05 level of significance. Both N1 and N2 were bigger than 30, so. I don't need to, I can assume that they're normally distributed. And I know they're less than 5% of the population. So that sample difference, negative 10.7, is how much lower the average score was in fall than spring. Which means spring scores were, the average score was 10.7 higher. Out of 100%, that was a full fucking letter grade. The average score was a full letter grade higher, and that is why I do this every fucking semester. There are very few classes I don't do the full week on soft skills. And it's like Calc 3 where I don't have time. And I'm assuming by that point, they fucking figured out college a little bit. But like,
I like doing that.
Unless we haven't figured out college yet.
oftentimes, I get first semester students and they're like. I'm making an assumption that they're beginning to, so that's not necessarily true. But either way. It helps. So that's why I did. Alright, if you guys wanna work on your projects, I'll give you time. Otherwise, you are free to roam about the country.